Okay guys, I'm going to show you how to make my favorite alcohol stove. This is an 8-fluted single can alcohol stove, and this one is my favorite alcohol stove. I talked about this one in another video in what I use to cook with. This is what a lot of guys use. This is a fancy, what they call a fancy feast stove, and what it is, it's a fancy feast cat food can on the bottom, and this is an I believe it's an 8-ounce tomato paste can, and then the wick is actually carbon fiber, which you can buy at any, like I got my carbon fiber from Lowe's. But I've tried to use this a couple times, and the thing I don't like about it is the size. If you look at the top, it's very small compared to this one or even a regular size soda can. So I'll show you how to make one out of a regular can. So what you're going to need is a pair of scissors, a utility knife, a marker, and a tape measure. Okay, the first thing I do is I get the top out of the can. One of the things too is I use these big cans because they're bigger around. You can use just a regular soda can or beer can or whatever kind of pop top can you want, but I use the bigger ones because it's a bigger surface for the pot to sit on. The first thing we're going to do is get this top out. What I do is I just take a utility knife and I scribe around the divot here, and I'll go around there 3 or 4 times to get this scribed, and then after I do that I'll start popping it out there. Be very careful, especially with the utility knife. It's very sharp. It's really easy to slip and cut yourself, so please be careful. Okay, after you've got it scribed, you can take your scissors or even your knife and cut a little bit of this edge out of here and make it to where it will get to the lip there. And once you do that, you can actually start breaking the edge out of the can. Then you're just going to take and fold this in and out again. Be careful. It's going to want to cut you, so just be careful. And then you're just going to take this and fold it in and out. See, it'll pop right out of there like that. Okay, now that we got the top all the way out, we're going to use our tape measure, and we're going to measure the bottom up 1.5 inches, and we're going to put a mark on there at 1.5 inches, and the top at 2.5 inches. And then this is how I draw my circles, if I can find where I put my mark. I just hold the marker right there like that, and then I just turn the can around. Alright, then we're going to just take the utility knife again and put a hole in it between the 2 marks. Like that. And then you just take your scissors and then you cut your line. Alright, what you're going to end up with is 1.5 inch bottom and a 2.5 inch top. Now the reason neither one of these are specific, but the one thing that and I forget what I did see this on a YouTube channel, that the most efficient burn for alcohol is for it to be 1 inch above the flame. So that will put this, when this is slid together, your pot will be 1 inch from the burning point of the gas. So that's the most efficient way. And now we have our 2 parts. Now we're going to put the flutes in the top piece. And we're just going to take our scissors, we're going to put our fingers inside like this, and we're just going to take this, and you're just going to put a dent in that top, and then you're going to bend it around a little bit around there like this, and so it ends up making a little bit of a bend in it right there. And you're going to put 8 of those around there. The way I do it is I start with the 1, I go directly across, I do that, then I go to the middle between those 2, I do that, and then I go between those even and do that again. And then the cool thing about this is when you put these bends in the can, it will make it so it fits inside of your bottom. So now you can crunch it together, and it'll take a few times, but every time you use this, it will get easier to put inside your can. And there's that. Now after you have that, you just need to take your knife again, and you need to put one small hole up here towards the rim as a breathing hole, because if you put your pot on the top and it makes a good seal, it will actually suffocate the gas out of there. So there it is. That's all there is to it. Now you put some alcohol in there and you light it up. Okay, now what I use for fuel in these stoves is just denatured alcohol. You can get this at any hardware store. I buy it at Lowe's or Home Depot or Menards, wherever I get it from. And then I actually transfer it into an old soda bottle that I've cleaned out. I put some duct tape on it and I mark it in 2-ounce increments, because it usually takes me about 2 ounces of alcohol to make a meal. So what we're going to do is we're going to pour 2 ounces of alcohol in here. Be careful pouring it in because it will splash out through the flutes. Okay, right here's about 2 ounces of alcohol. You want to make sure that before you light this, you put your fuel away from it, and then basically light it. You just all right. Okay, now right now it's just going to burn for a minute. There, it's already primed. Now it's burning out the flutes. And then what you would do is you would just put your pot right on the very top of that can and just let it sit. Now this is the one thing that I really like about this style stove versus the Fancy Feast stove. I just always carry one of these cups with me on the outside of my pack. This is what I use for my coffee and stuff. So basically, if you're done cooking and there's still fuel left, you take that, you put it over the top, and you snuff the fire out. And now, once this cools, and believe it or not, with the aluminum can, it doesn't take it that long to cool down. Just a little bit more. Okay, right there was about real time for the cooling process to take this part. So you can take the top out, set it off to the side, and we have leftover fuel that we can just pour right back into our fuel bottle here. That way, if you didn't burn all your fuel, you can put it back. And with the Fancy Feast stove, with the carbon fiber, it's almost impossible once you put it in there to get it back, other than pulling the carbon fiber out. But for some reason, I always have trouble getting the carbon fiber to go back in after I pulled it out. So I just don't take it out. So there you go, guys. That is an 8-fluted single can alcohol stove. Super easy, definitely cheap. Hope you enjoy it.